I made up my mind about every time. Because I would makes life easy. You said someone to comfort me. The way you love me, I'm now complete. Oh, joyous struggle. You said someone to comfort me. The way you love me, I'm now complete. Oh, joyous struggle. And I can do a minute without you. And I can do a minute without you. Can do a minute without you. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. William Martina. William Martina. William Martina. Oh yeah. William Martina.
Although I know I can't deny it. I can't describe the feeling. Where are the time? I'll be back. This love is the light. Oh, hey. Although I know Miss I can feel. Miss I can feel. Miss I can feel. Although I know Miss I can feel. This love is the light. Oh, hey. Long one to
without you. Can you a minute without you? Can you a minute without you? Oh yeah. William Martina. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Hey. Come on, everybody, sing. You are my everything. Oh. You are my everything.
What's up, everybody? I am MS.ABA, and what I am going to perform for you at this time is everything to inspire you, to motivate you, of course, alongside the one and only me here back home in Ghana.
You light up my life, I cannot deny. Senya would dog, my bravo no ya boko cry. I made up my mind about every time. What I would makes life easy. You said someone to comfort me. The way you love me, I'm now complete. Oh, would I strong? You sent someone to comfort me. The way you love me, I'm now complete. Oh, would I strong? And I can do a minute without you. Hey. And I can do a minute without you. Can do a minute without you. Ule, ule, mama. Ule, ule. Ule, ule, mama. Uye madina. Ule, ule. mama, ule, 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 mama, uya matenina, ule, ule, mama, ule, ule, mama, uya madini, ule, ule, mama, ule, 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 mama, uya madini. Odokai wino benya, I can deny it. I can describe the feeling. We odokai, we odokai. I feel bad, this love beat the light. Oh, hey, odokai wino benya. Miss I can feel, Miss I can feel. Misakapio, Odoka Wino Benya, Misakapio, this love beat the light, and I can do a minute without ya. And I can do a minute without ya. Can do a minute without ya. Ule, ule, mama. Ule, 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 mama. Uye matinina. Ule, ule, mama. Ule, 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 mama. Uye matinina. Ule, ule, mama. Ule, 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 mama. Uye matinina. Ule, ule, mama. Ule, 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 ule. Uye matinina.
Let's do that again. Welcome, welcome, welcome to African Focus. Thanks so much, Donny, for alerting me. I have to just get used to being on this at-home setting. This was so last minute. Here, a few minutes past 7 p.m., coming to you live from Amsterdam on High Radio, Amsterdam's most dynamic satellite radio station. And the reason why we are here is that, we had some technical difficulties in our building, actually. Last night's storm was quite serious in terms of wind, and the compound where High Radio Studio is based kind of caught a lot of wind. So because of that, the internet there, it needs to be fixed, which will be done right in the morning. So yeah, myself and Donnie said, wait, 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 wait. Since we have so much to talk about, you know what? Let's just bring the conversation on here. So yeah, welcome to us back again, as we will be chatting about what's going on in on the continent and what's going on in Africa and so much more. Let's just get Johnny on board, and because we have so much to talk about today. What we will talk about is Africans and anti-vaccination, probably the outrage towards the coronavirus certificates, African languages to get more bespoke scientific terms. Ooh, watch out for that. And also, we're going to zoom some more into what we did last week, and that was 30 of the most demand skills to find your job in the next 5 years, and that and more. But before we continue, I just would love for you, if you found us on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. of course, and reshare as much as you can. And of course, subscribe that button, whether that be on the High Radio streams or whether that be on the African Focus page. Do reshare as much as possible. Donny, how are you doing?
Hey there, good evening, good morning, good afternoon. I'm fine. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. I hope the camera is fixed. Please make sure your
Yeah, it
full head
is.
is on
Oh,
it.
yeah, right. Okay, so let me see.
Hilarious.
Um, put it
Hilarious,
up.
hilarious. But it just
It's
shows, right? We are very good to adapt. I mean, this was
right.
last minute. You and myself were actually talking about, okay, what are we going to do? Are we going to, bring this to the classic at home, setting as we normally do, or
The,
are we going
the
to
the
just
lockdown mode.
the lockdown mode? Exactly. That really brought us into, very, very interesting personalities anyway. So this
Exactly.
is way to go. I think we have a
Yeah,
lot
I
to
mean,
talk about to really put this in a conversation for this hour.
we
I
do.
love your background photo.
Thank you. Kind of like switched places around in my
Right.
apartment, so I hope this one is a good one. It's just that since my camera is a bit too low, I have to fix the stand.
I
But
get you. I
I've
get you. Do your
got it
thing. Do your thing.
now.
The work has to be done. It has to be
The
done.
work has to, the show must go on.
The show must go on. Absolutely. Absolutely. How was your week?
In general, good, wet. I mean, it's been
Oh
raining in
no.
the entire week.
And
But
I'm so
hey,
not
I
used
think we're
to it.
used to that here in the Netherlands. So yeah.
I'm not used to it. No. I'm not. I still have to adjust. I mean, I was walking around with flats and pantalon, and I had like a moment with myself where I was like, okay, I am I have to be adjusting and get my boots back up because
Well, I'm sure we used to that right by now. I mean, when the weather forecast read rain throughout the whole week, I think Dutch people, low key, we were very happy because this is what we used to.
right.
Because, and as well as it's the kind of weather that um, makes us complain about
Yeah.
anything or use it as an excuse for whatever we don't we don't want to do. Don't want to go to the gym. Yeah, it's the weather's shitty. We don't want to go meet
Yeah.
up. The weather is not really good. So but hey, that's Dutch weather for us.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's definitely Dutch weather for us. I guess hey, this is the phase where we're going into it, and before you know it, we will be back on the motherland. Cruising around the city and
already looking forward to it, huh? Counting the days.
yes, yes, absolutely. Co-signing on that one. Absolutely. Well, let's look at the news flash for the week. I mean, it seems like you really want to
Yep.
get into the corporate career/career thing first.
Yeah, I mean, I saw this thing where I was like, you know what? Let's start with that like a takeaway for the week.
Which we
Um,
which we closed
was it
with
the
with
MBA
last
versus master's degree?
yeah,
Come again?
which
Yeah,
we
because
closed with last
those,
week.
yeah, we did close with the 30 most demand skills last week. So I
Yeah,
thought, all right, so this week, let's start with let's say making clear what the difference are between MBA and master degrees.
yeah,
Because initially, I myself was struggling with, okay, wait, what's the difference between an MBA and just master of science degrees?
yeah,
As I thought MBA was master of business administration, right? But clearly there are some degrees as to who takes on the course and also for what purpose
yeah.
they take on the MBA or the master's
Hmm.
degree. So well,
Yeah.
so let's say in general, if I can get straight into it,
Mm-hmm.
um, a master degree usually is a consecutive course that builds on your previous undergraduate degree. One of the benefits of a master's degree is the availability of a variety of different programs for many scientific fields. Graduating with a Master of Arts or Master of Science makes you an expert in your field of studies and provides you with scientific knowledge. Most students start their master's program straight after completing their first degree. Thus, you enter the job market with a higher qualification and with a higher entry salary. So this specifically is, let's say, so most people use the master's degree to build or to get an expert level within their field of, let's say, their bachelor's, right? So it's
Yeah.
always that if you want to gain deeper understanding, deeper knowledge of whatever you got taught in your bachelor's degrees, then you go
Mm-hmm.
for the Master of Science or a regular master's degree. And I found an MBA. What is an MBA? Which is the Master of Business Administration. It's targeted at professionals with, in most cases, a minimum of 2 years work experience. In contrast to a master's degree, the MBA is non-consecutive, meaning that students come not only for business subjects but many more disciplines. Thus, the MBA classroom is much more diverse in terms of professional backgrounds, industries, and experience. Um, and this goes to show that MBA is, though it is Master of Business Administrations,
Mm-hmm.
the people who take on an MBA course come from, let's say, several or various fields of work. Also, the important distinction here is the work experience. So MBAs mostly people who mostly take an MBA course are those who already have experience in work. You
Okay.
know, let's think of professionals already. Let's 3 years, 4 years, 5 years experience. Sometimes even 10 years. They have the work experience. Whereas in master's degree, right when you finish your bachelor's, you can straight go into without any work experience. You go straight into the master's degree just to have that scientific or theoretical knowledge. So just in summary, the MBA is more for professionals or those
Right.
who already have work experience to gain to, let's say, get that level up, right? So because it gives you also theoretical knowledge. However, it's building on the experience that you already have, and it's also for people from various, let's say, various sectors or various
Mm-hmm.
fields of work. Whereas the master's degree is tightly is for those who just finished their bachelor's degree and want to continue studying within a
Okay.
specific or gain in-depth knowledge within a specific area of study. So this
Okay.
is, I hope this distinction kind of like clarifies or clears up some doubts or some questions within our listeners who are maybe thinking of doing an MBA or a master's degree or whatnot.
Sure. Sure. All right. All right. So basically, is where the confusion between the two is kind of lingering in people's mind. That's really what you're getting at.
Yes, yes, because some
Okay.
people ask, should I do a MBA or do I do a master's degree?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in accounting or just in business administration.
Right.
But you know, it's who are you? Where do you want to go? Like you already have experience and all those things. But
Sure.
there is a difference
Yeah.
in those two, and just find which one suits your options or which one suits your goals, and then you pursue that. And I hope this again clarifies the distinction
Yeah.
between these two and helps you make a better choice.
And as you are, I think you have, is it one or two masters you have?
One,
You have, okay. Look at you. Look at you. Masters.
it's
Okay.
just one.
It's not Just one. A master's is something, I mean, for myself, I didn't choose bachelor's because I was like, no, where what I want to do is not gonna
Yeah,
need master's specifically, meaning, media
right.
broadcasting, digital marketing, those type of things. So I left masters
Yeah,
alone. Um, but I always admire people that go for all that and add it up to their resume. And if it makes sense for what you've built, just like you said, your earlier degree, and then having that added to it, if it's worth doing, then it's definitely a good approach, so to say.
right. So for some
Speak.
like someone like you, doing an MBA would be perfect since you have all the experience and all that. So if you want to do a master's, right, just go straight to
I
an
think that's it.
MBA.
Yeah, yeah. And that I didn't know. I thought I always regarded MBA as some kind of short course or something that, you know,
Mm,
um, I did see people in business because obviously because
yeah,
even
that's
in teaching that I teach digital marketing. I do give it to first year MBA students, but I thought it was more or less like, okay, I'm doing business and like an added course, because what's the duration of it? Isn't it 2 years?
Yes, MBA goes, yes, 2 years or sometimes 2.5 years, because I think they also tailor the program to suit those who are already working. And if you're already
Right.
working, you can't sit in the classroom 12 hours a week or 24 hours a
True.
week, right? So it's more spread out, so it takes a bit longer. But I
Yeah.
think with the knowledge, they give you it maybe even more than if you would choose at like a full-time Master of Science degree. But MBA is
Hmm.
perfect for those who are already working at and already have experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, good for that info. I am educated today. I am very much educated today.
Great.
And last week, what we also talked about was, let's say, the most in demand skills that will help
Yes.
people to develop their job. I think this is something that we should definitely continue on, as some of our following guests will also be, let's say, some specialized in those areas to help us get an idea of, is it useful to where we want to go? Is it maybe a good opportunity for people to head on to a new direction in terms of what is the most in demand skills, so that we could
Sure.
keep receiving a paycheck. Let's just say that. And
Yes.
and I think one of our pleasant discovery is that math one of the most in demand skills to have. I think
Yes.
those were some
Yes.
of the ones that we.
Mathematics.
Yes, mathematics. Those were some of
And
the most.
also remember Excel, Microsoft Excel.
Excel, man. Yes, yes, I do remember. I do remember that. Excel is super important to just master. Um, Excel to me is a whole world on its own. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. It is.
but
It is.
it's at the same time, Excel is computer literacy. Actually, it falls under that, whether that be a category
Yes.
or something like that. It is computer literacy. So we are in that era of where technology is the focus. So it's not a surprise. It's definitely not a
Right.
surprise.
Exactly.
Absolutely. So, reading about this, and this is something that we do highlight, so that, of course, within Africa on Focus objective is to share our success stories and help you produce more of that success. Is to
Mhm.
also enlighten you and all the people out there on the skills that are really needed for the upcoming years. Online course provider Coursera published its industry skills report for 2021, detailing the most in demand skills across the world right now. And the report was based on 26 skills in the business, technology, and data science domains. Each industry reported an acceleration in the need for technology skills to account for, at a minimum, the lack of physical interaction induced by the pandemic. These are changes appear unlikely to recede as the pandemic does, basically saying, topics like remote working and all of these things are still going to be very important. Company will continue to move forward with digitalization, because it also seems to be a cheaper or more efficient option at an accelerated pace. And that's what the source also said. The digital transformation due to pandemic lockdowns was substantial. Microsoft data shows that 2 years worth of transformation was concentrated into 2 months. That is also a very interesting fact, if you
Yeah.
ask me. And in the last weeks of March 2020, for example, there was a much broad brand growth as some experts expected for the entire year. That is also what the source said. One of the highlights also is that to maintain the transformation velocity, specific technology and data skills are needed across industries, namely cloud computing, cybersecurity, data analysis, software development, and adding workers with these skills will fuel growth. And it's anticipated that by 2025, which is in just 4 years, there will be
Hmm.
149 million new digital jobs focused on these skills. And that's a
Oh
lot.
wow.
That's a
Yeah.
lot. Another interesting fact to share is that the analysis of trending skills in the technology and data science domains shows that people are highly interested in learning software engineering and data analysis skills. And many of the trending skills in those domains can also be applied to cloud computing, cybersecurity. However, they expect to see an increase in interest for those specific skill sets as well. And last fact, also good to share. While technology and data science skills are critical on their own, they aren't enough to achieve proficiency for the new world of digital work. That is really interesting. Johnny,
Yeah.
last time we looked at math, deep learning. That is also something that we discovered. Deep
Yeah.
learning, SQL, probability distribution. That is also one. You see it in
Statistics.
finance. Sorry?
Mhm. That is statistics, the probability distribution,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
uh,
That's
that's
not my
statistics.
cup of tea. That is not my cup. I remember years ago when I at first side starting university, I thought that, doing business administration was my thing. I knew I was wanting to do something business-ish in the international scope. And then I got this subject called quantitative research. Ah, and that is also quantitative research is also it also has a chapter of probability and calculating that and those things.
Of course.
Oh my gosh, I got headaches. I took extra class to see if I could master it. I was like, where is my calculator? Because in secondary school, you could use this we call it graphic
Yeah.
calculator,
Yeah.
just calculate everything, but I couldn't do this. I was like, oh Lord, you didn't make me for this. You just did not make me for these kind of formulas. It's
Oh,
it's something else. Um, I know that you are a finance guy, basically.
yeah.
What are some of the changes? Have you experienced some changes within your job finding, your sector that have really been, let's say, pandemic sensitive? Um, have you
Mm,
experienced any of that?
well, so I've been looking at the job market since I do want to switch, let's say change my jobs a bit. But um, it's been it's been hard since most of the job that I find are IT related, right? So the
Right.
software programming, this and that, and also the pay. You see that that is where the money truly is. But
The
then
money
let's
resides.
say that's where the money is. And then I was looking in finance. You wouldn't find that much, and if you do find something, for me, it's not the level of work that I want to work at because I want to go, let's say, climb higher, right? But then
Right.
you have this administrative jobs that they do have, but you can see that the pay or the wages are lower than for instance, for an entry position in IT, for instance, right? And
Oh.
it's a huge difference because an entry position within finance, let's say if that pays 2,500, an entry position within IT will pay 3,200 to 35. That's a
Oh,
huge a difference, 700 euros difference, right? So
it is.
that is one thing I saw because I also look at what are the requirements, and for let's say finance where you do want equal wage, the requirements are definitely higher. Like you need 3+ years of experience, whereas with the IT is um, the certificates that you need to have or the knowledge,
Right.
JavaScript,
Right.
that C++ programming, this program, that programming. It doesn't say that you have to be in this function for this amount of years. It
Mm-hmm.
just asks, do you know about this, or do you have you worked with these programs, right?
Right.
That is what their requirements are. So those are the differences I've been seeing. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and myself, I've been looking into more project management since that is where I
Oh
want to
yeah.
be working at. But that has proven to be quite difficult because it's all about work experience. You need to show
Right.
experience in projects or in management or something like that, which I don't have at the moment. So it's
Right.
making it a bit difficult to even find something within that sector. But yeah, that goes to show that the skills that are in demand right now, they they are more likely to, let's say, the requirements are a lot lower. So it's like, okay, have you done something with software program? Okay, good, that's all right. You don't have experience or you haven't worked longer than 6 months, fine, we'll teach you, and then why? Because
Yeah.
these are the skills that they are going to be in demand by 2025, and it's going to grow even more, right? So they need it. They are willing. The job markets, businesses are willing to invest in those skills now, whereas finance, accountancy, production, sales, those skills are already there. They've been there. We have tons of graduates already, so it's they can always pick up or find employees if they want to. So over there, businesses are not that lenient, or not that they don't have that much to invest
Mm-hmm.
within those who are just starting. So for starters, it's
Yeah.
quite hard in finance and other departments, whereas in IT, it's quite easy if you just a graduate. Or I have those who haven't, you don't even have a degree. All they did is go to a course to learn JavaScript, which they mastered, and then they have a good job at a company for data analysis or
Yeah.
software programming. So
Yeah.
yeah, that is what I've been observing
Right.
pretty
I
much.
think that's really important that you share that the part
Yeah,
of project management, if at least you can show a bit of projects that you have been able to do, that is a good
yeah,
way to showcase your work in some way. And it doesn't mean,
hmm,
because that's always hard, right? At the beginning stages, you finally getting a project, it will
yes,
definitely come. You will finally get a project, but it will be then good to consider the fact that you upkeep some type of portfolio or something that you've done, and keep record of that, and showcase that every time, because that is also one thing that has become more and more important as of now, as in having project related work, rather than contract based, or let's say a longer period contract based
period.
work,
Yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah,
say. Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Definitely. So, part of the some of the things to focus on is Microsoft Excel, which is also a very good skill to add to project management. I mean, I've worked at companies whereby I remember one of our supervisors, and he was showcasing all kinds of analytics and things in Excel, and he was like, "Okay, it's not like they taught me these things. It's because I have this particular skill that's very good to this advantage, and this company is profiting off of it, actually." So those are
Yes, yeah,
really just exact examples of how something like Excel, econometrics, what else? Behavioral economics could add to whatever that you do in project management. Digital marketing is also one that is a stand on its own skill to have, and that means every aspect of digital marketing, understanding how to implement that in different markets and so forth. Project management is among, Donny, so you're actually heading to the right direction. Maybe it's worth to add anything IT related. Have you considered that?
I have considered that, and I'm on the verge of taking one of those because the government also provides courses for especially IT related courses. They do since the COVID started, they understood or it became urgent for
Yeah,
people to, let's say, what do you call it, to start another career, right?
yeah,
So omscholen, like to
yeah,
re-educate a lot of staff or a lot of unemployed people. So what they did was to make available a lot of courses online or in person that will help professionals do have a, let's say, career switch. Most of the courses they provided were IT related courses, which you could go for free, or you could, let's say, enroll for free, and you would follow it's a 8 weeks to 12 or 50 weeks, 6 months period course. And after that, they will give you a certificate. And I know from years back, someone who I used to train with did one of those things. This is pre-COVID, right? So
right.
this person had done one of these courses given by the government, and she finished, got her diploma or certificate, and started working for an IT company, and she's doing amazing. She's doing great, well paid, and now she's like what, 5 years experience, and already that 5 years experience makes your resume, makes your skill level so high that now
Yeah,
you are a force to be reckoned with within the job market. That like everywhere she
yeah,
goes, she would have get a job. So I'm really thinking about doing that, making such a career switch. But hey, we'll see how that works. I mean, African
okay.
Focus is also going great, so we, we
Yes,
might go fully into digital broadcasting and radio.
yes. Let's just say there is some potential there. I mean, it goes hand in hand with digital marketing. So, hey, maybe there is something that we could definitely explore that could be the answer to our provision for the next 5 years, right?
Exactly.
All right. Well, another thing that has been definitely been going on, people are in uproar here in the Netherlands,
Oh,
and a lot of work-related things, happen. I've been even reading some articles about, since some companies can't find new workers and things like that, they are having this debate about how a work week should look like, and the age of
yeah.
going to pension and so forth. So a lot of that, has been going on. It doesn't surprise me that we read about this change to technology that has been like squeezed in what 1 to 2 years. What would normally take longer. Well, what we just read about, and it causes other departments of our lives to just be confused or sometimes having to readjust. And that is one
Hmm.
that is definitely relevant for people based in the Netherlands. Dutch Union calls for standard 30 hours work week in the Netherlands. I thought this was 40, wasn't it? Or 32. I have to
Um,
let's
the standard,
standard, yeah.
yeah, the standard here in Netherlands is 38 to 40.
38. Okay.
38
Right.
to 40, yes,
Right.
I believe.
Right. Well,
Hmm.
while it may be standard for many people in the Netherlands to work part-time, the Christian National Trade Union is calling for a standard 30-hour work week to be introduced as soon as possible. Standardizing the 4-day work week in the Netherlands. The standard Dutch work contract is 38 hours. Yes, you're right, but can range from 36 to 40 hours a week. However, around three quarters of people in the Netherlands choose to work part time, so anything from
Oh,
12 to 36 hours a week. And there
oh,
is increasing debate about the efficacy of implementing a standard 4-day week in order to improve productivity as well as work life balance. Work life balance here is, um, here it's, I remember reading several articles that, work life balance here in the Netherlands is really appreciated. It's really, the Netherlands have this good balanced life. And now,
mm,
uh, since the pandemic, the focus on work life balance has even increased, right? So I think that explains why some parties are even taking this further. But anyway, let's get more into the details. Jobs in the Netherlands, and this is relatively speaking, already tend to be more
mhm.
lenient about working part time. So it's
Okay.
definitely not an example of how an American or any other work environment would be. The
Mhm.
CNV would like to see the Dutch government implement a 30-hour work week as soon as possible with the aim that cutting hours while maintaining current salaries would improve overall mental health and reduce cases of burnout among employees,
I like that.
which has been on the rise. Why are you laughing?
I like that. It's like cutting hours, but maintaining salary. That's heaven. That's
It's
beautiful.
It's divine. It's divine. So, improve productivity and work life balance when working part time. Hundreds of thousands of people are completely worn out, says CNV Director Piet Fortuyn. High time for a new balance. Several trials show that people are happier, more efficient, and more productive, and the work life balance improved greatly. A recent poll conducted by the CNV found that the majority of union members would like to see a shorter work week become the norm. Three in five felt that working fewer hours would leave them healthier and happier, while two-thirds said working fewer hours would reduce cases of absence and sick leave.
Mm.
Furthermore, almost 75% thought a 4-day week would improve work life balance, and half of respondents say they expect they'd be more productive and efficient only 30 hours a week. What an interesting debate. Um,
Yeah.
what do you think about this?
Well, how do I don't know? How do you feel? I want to know how you think, how you feel about this. Actually.
Yeah, for me, being being working on projects. So
Hmm.
and doing business at the same time really allows me to schedule in my own work. And doing my kind of life is never a 30-hour work week. You do what you love and everything. So my working hours would supersede 50, 55. So I have no I have no space to even talk about a 30-hour work week, right? But what I can say is from my observations, because the reason I don't like to work 40 hours a week for another in corporate is because I always have my own thing going on, and
Mm,
my own thing going on meaning that will add and become 60 hours again. But I would say this. I do think that, as time progresses, as technology rises and everything, our life has become more expensive and it some way puts some kind of pressure on us. You know,
mm,
um, whether that, comes back in costs, whether that comes back in a particular trend that we want to have. Sorry, I need to put my charge on my phone. Whether that be a particular trend we want to follow, or whether that be a particular upkeep. And it's always within the fixed costs that we pay, you know?
right.
And
Hmm.
in those kind of scenarios, two things have to adapt. Either we have to really organize a minimized way of living. So safe to say, not live or locate in the city center, which is, most of the, like in the city center of Amsterdam, which is most expensive. Do our
Expensive.
groceries
Yeah.
in particular parts and those type of things.
Right.
We also consider things like our phone bills and things like that. That is one way, or the other way is just, working part time. But then again,
Hmm.
is can the part time working afford the type of living that you want? So something has to adjust. And in this case,
Yeah.
if government adjusts this 30-hour thing, what you see is that people will have the space and the room to just think about. what does make their life happier and things like that. But if our expensive living continues, it's not going to solve the problems. The work-life balance remains each of our own responsibility. Not everybody gets that. If you get
Hmm.
what I mean. So I think it's good, but I think it's also worth, for me, taking this information as an individual, also look at what is the kind of life that I'm so much hustling for, so much,
Right.
driving for. Yeah.
Exactly.
Long story, but that's how I feel.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. That is that. That's the interesting bit. It's like, indeed, if you have it, let's say 30 hours, like in corporate, um, it will give you that, let's say, time for your passion or anything you want to do on the side.
Yeah.
And I think, like, here in the Netherlands, the system was, actually now, or actually still is set up that if you once you have a corporate job, or once you have that 9 to 5, like, that's it. This that 9 to 5, and it leaves, right. That's all you can do, and if you can do other stuff, but something is going to suffer somewhere, right? So
Yeah.
most people who do have a 9 to 5, um, they don't even attempt into doing a lot next to it. The having doing two different, or being in corporate as well as doing your own thing, is only for individuals like yourself who are entrepreneurial and hold different contracts based on projects.
Yeah.
But you cannot have a 9 to 5, like a standard working week, and as well as do full-time media. It's, it won't work. However, when the standard week, I feel, becomes 30 hours, you could do both. Great. It's, you work 4 days here, 3 days then, of course, longer, on whatever it is that you want to achieve with your personal endeavors. But that, I think, that combination would be better. And, like, they are saying, people, the what absenteeism and sick leave cases would reduce. Yes,
Yeah.
and I also do feel like, I do agree that people will become, um, let's say, happier, and or they
Yeah.
will show on their work, in in their 30 hours, because it's just 30 hours. That impact is not that great as if you would do it 38 or 40. Myself had always been thinking the ideal position for me would be to work 4 days, and even with my partners, is if we have kids, we both should work 32 hours maximum, and that's within in cooperation. Well, because then we can fix a schedule where, let's say, if she wants to work 4 days, so there are 7 days. So on one day, only one day, both of us are, let's say, working, right? But the other way, she's working and I'm with the child, and then I'm working and she's with the baby, so we can have that the child is growing up with either one of their parents and doesn't really have to go to daycare and all that. So I was thinking about those things, and I was like, having a 32 or 4 day work week would be the ideal thing, because anything you do outside of that, I guess you can do at home. And if you can do it at home, then you can still be at home around your family or your children that you love, and still pursue what your passion is. That's
Yeah.
how I've been thinking about it. So yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it's a good thing.
Yeah, I think it's good thinking. It allows you, to work on really your life, and it brings me also back to the conversation that we had with the Achampong family, right? Because when they were here on,
Yeah,
when Anna was, taking care of the kids, and he was working and
and
things,
Kevin
really he
was,
was out
yeah,
there
he was
helping.
working.
What life is all about, you know.
Yes, right.
So I think it will, I think it will, produce room for people to just have the kind of life that they long for. I wonder where how this discussion is going to go to. It's not impossible. I believe on top of my head, Denmark, Finland, or Sweden or something is in that direction, in terms
Mm,
of work-life balance. So it's not impossible for us, for here in the Netherlands, a relatively wealthy country, to do the same, if you
yeah,
ask me.
definitely wealthy. But it will not come for free, that's for sure. I, either the taxes are going to go up.
Yeah, it's going to show up everywhere
um,
unless a company is able to create just the workflow based on part-time,
yeah,
maybe it could, but yeah, it's going to
yeah,
cost, definitely.
yeah. Hmm.
Definitely, you're
But it will
absolutely
be
right.
good. Uh, but yeah, just a final question.
Yeah,
So you did say, of course, depending on your lifestyle or where you live, you would have to earn a level of income still at the end of the month in order to let's say basically live your life, right? But would you
yeah.
say that um the is the man who has to do the working, or will it be shared? Because if the standard becomes 30 hours and a man is going to work 30 hours, that will also require the woman if to also go out and work. Or would
Yeah.
you say, well, in that case, a man should just get a double
Well,
employment?
I personally think it's a good question, and I've asked around, from people that actually have that dynamic where man is working and woman is taking care of the kids, and then the adapted way. And I've just noticed that the setting where the woman takes care of the children and the man is only working is kind of decreasing. Um, and it has to do with several things. Sometimes that the woman involved had already discovered what she loved doing as a career or something, and would still like to hold on to that, or it's just
Okay,
that the kind of life, including a purchased home and things like that, does require two people working. You
people
know,
income.
uh,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
so I questioned if that setting of where woman is at home and man is working is kind of with a larger income. I'm not sure.
Hmm.
I haven't come to a conclusion on that. But what I do summarize from my findings and asking around is that, based on the current costs of things, fixed costs, housing things, you do, need for both parties to be working. And I think
Yeah,
that's really fine. If both agree, both can communicate on that and figure things out, in terms of who does what. I've seen it go very well. Yeah, if you ask me.
nice. Yeah, okay,
Absolutely.
interesting.
All
Yeah.
right. Well, let's look at what's happening on the continents. It seems that
Of
there
course.
is another kind of outbreak. Uganda confirms polio outbreak. I must admit, I haven't heard of polio since primary school days. So this is
Yeah.
really something that is, whoa. The Ministry of Health has declared polio a public health emergency in Uganda following confirmation of positive laboratory tests from environmental samples in Kampala. The samples were collected from the sewage plants in Bugolobi and in Bigi, which are two of the Sentinel environmental surveillance sites in Kampala. Results from the tests carried out at Uganda Virus Research Institute confirmed a circulation vaccine derived polio virus type 2. The virus detected has genetic linkage with a CVDPV2 strain reported in Sudan. So Uganda
Mhm.
and the entire Africa were certified by the World Health Organization as wild polio virus free in August 2020. But polio is a viral disease that is transmitted from person to person, mainly through oral route or less frequently through contaminated water or food, and multiplies inside the intestines. This looks pretty serious. And
Yeah.
um, what this tells me is, listen, when we travel back to the continent, don't take all of the listing of this vaccination lightly. because
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we've seen it with COVID, where we're like, oh yeah, it's there, it's somewhere in China, blah blah, and it came creeping and took over all over the world. Um,
Yeah.
Here it says, polio does not respect borders and is spreading fast in the East African region, putting children, particularly age 5 years and below, at the risk of contracting this incurable disease. Incurable, that I also didn't know, yet vaccine preventable disease. In response
Mhm.
to the polio outbreak, the Ministry of Health has heightened surveillance of polio in the country by intensifying search for polio cases in all health facilities, by reporting and investigating of all children under 15 years with sudden onset of paralysis or weakness in the arms or legs, and expansion of environmental surveillance. Something to really keep an eye on, if you ask me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. This is fairly shocking news.
Yeah,
But it goes to show that we have to be on the lookout for any type of disease, or anything that when we get past it, we think it's in the past. But what especially biochemical scientists, what they know is once a virus has been discovered,
yeah,
and it never goes away. That's why they're saying COVID is going to remain with us forever,
yeah,
as Ebola is still there, AIDS is still there, polio clearly is also still there. This is just another strain of it, right?
yeah,
They said COVID is also a SARS disease, which is the same as the one that brought Ebola. However, this is a different type. So that virus or these things will always be with us. So from now going, we have to be careful in our dealings, like you're saying, especially when you travel to places. Check
yeah,
what the health requirements are, and do as much as you can to protect yourself. Malaria, for instance, people going from here to Africa, and they have to take that. And malaria is always on the list when you go to Africa. Saying, these are the pills that you can take, or you can have this cure or tablet that you take every day when you're there.
yeah.
Um, you know, do what you can in that field to prepare yourself health
Yeah.
wise.
Definitely, definitely. I agree with that. Absolutely. Well, there's so much more happening on the continent, and as people have just tuned in, shout out to Sylvia Kendi. How are you, Sylvia Kendi? We are doing this from home. Our building, our studio, has some electric challenges, as last night's storm had been quite intense, and where our building is situated has catching some quite wind. So we said, you know what, let's just do it from home. The show must definitely go on, as we would say. And we're kind of adapting because this is quite normal to us. This lockdown setting.
Yeah,
I mean, this is really where we had the opportunity to talk to the world's most prominent people all around the world. So I think that I've gotten some opportunities to share a bit music. Let's just listen to some music. We'll be right back to talk about some more that's been happening within our environment, the world of African, so to say. And let's get into this. And yeah, let's just get this music going, and we'll be right back to talk some more about what's going on in Africa.
Feelings, I'm in my feelings. It be something about you, you bring me healing. Oh, when I see, oh your body be my medicine. I'm addicted with the way that you hold me down. Oh yeah, I see, oh your body be my medicine. I'm addicted with the way that you hold me down. So my eye, name is my eye. 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 Babe, you know you find past
say me, girl, I see my days. I swear I lie to the heavens, girl, you be my taste. You be my weakness, and you know you make me crazy. Your love is like a drug in my system, baby. Oh, na 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 na. I need to let you go. Oh, we go be yawa, 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 yawa. Yeah, yeah. What are they say? Oh, your body be my medicine. Oh, I'm addicted to the way that you hold me down. Oh, what is it? Oh, your body be my medicine. Oh, I'm addicted to the way that you hold me down. Oh, my God, name is my God. 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 That's mommy. Love you back to mommy, to mommy, to mommy, to mommy, to mommy. You know I need you, baby, oh. To mommy. You love me back to mommy, to mommy, to mommy, to mommy, to mommy. You know I need you, baby, oh. Feelings, I'm in my feelings. There is something about you, you bring me healing. Feelings, I'm in my feelings. There is something about you, oh, about you, something about you.
If I was at the studio, I would like, seamlessly take it to hey everybody, this was Kitty collaborating with Tina. So on their record called Feelings, I think that record is truly a jam. Yes, we just listened to that, and like I explained, we are broadcasting from home. The studio is facing some slight technical difficulties, but we're working on that. So myself and Donnie said, you know what, we are just going to stream from wherever we are, and still keep the conversation going. You're listening to Africa Unfocused, where we share our success stories. Every week, myself and Donnie, we tap into what's going on in our world, both where we are based in the diaspora and on the continent, and talk about all of the things that revolve around us, how we share our success stories. And also, we get to invite prominent people that each make impact as Africans within their community and all around the world. This time around, you'll be catching up with me, Miss Abba and Donny, and we are talking about so much has been going on. African Focus is made possible by Austin, which is about elevating your brand, branding and communications for businesses and personal brands. If you need more information about that, visit www.byaustin.com. Here, broadcasting on High Radio, Amsterdam's most dynamic satellite radio station. What else has been going on, Donny? I see something with
Mhm.
Uganda taking in Afghan refugees.
Yes.
That is a highlight, which is um, very current, because
Yeah.
here in the Netherlands, a lot of the debates have been going around what is to be done with the refugees. Our brothers and sisters, I call them brothers and sisters because I'm all about that Ubuntu.
Right.
We're all one.
That's
and
right. That's right.
but to also hear about that Uganda is yet to
You got.
receive
Yeah.
um, them was is quite new to me, if you ask me.
Yeah. So to hear any African country,
I mean, yeah,
taking a
most
taking
people want,
refugees.
yeah,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Most people, like you, just to finish your sentence, most people run away from Africa and become refugees in other people countries. But now, so yeah, when I saw this, I was like, wait, hold on. This sounds like the other way around. Now we are taking refugees, which
exactly,
is good.
yeah.
Which is good, which is brilliant. So let's see what this is about and why that is. So Uganda is to take in 2,000 refugees who have fled Afghanistan after Taliban militants took power on Sunday. This was Sunday in 17th of August. The deal was agreed following a request from the U.S. government. Refugee Minister Esther Anyakun told the BBC. The first group of 500 Afghans were expected to arrive on Tuesday, but officials now say discussions about the arrangements are still ongoing. Uganda has a long history of welcoming refugees and is currently home to around 1.3 million people. I had no idea.
I had no idea.
So the East African nation has the largest number of refugees in any country in Africa and the third largest in the world. The new Afghan arrivals will be tested for COVID-19 before they are sent to isolation centers, Ms. Anyakun says. The US is to cover these costs. The Taliban has returned to power 20 years after the US led intervention ousted them in 2001. Kabul was the last major city to fall, prompting Afghan President Ashraf Ghani to flee the country on Sunday. Many desperate residents then headed to the airport, where US troops were organizing evacuation for foreigners and vulnerable Afghans. More than 90% of Uganda's refugees come from neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan. Refugees live in settlements or villages alongside local residents, and some are given plots of land and allowed to work. Well, okay, that's interesting news, and I'm learning today. So Uganda, there are what was it? The number 1.3 million, let's say, refugees
Mm,
in Uganda, and it's holding the third largest refugees in the world. And this is an African country,
it's an African,
Uganda.
yeah.
But also most of their refugees are Africans, so from neighboring country,
Mm-hmm.
Democratic Republic of Congo and South Sudan. Congo has had, let's say, a hostile history,
Very much
and
so.
there have been some sort of civil unrest going on, so leading for people to flee, as well as Sudan has also had its bit,
Yes.
but I know they fled mostly, let's say, to European countries, but hey, they also fled to Uganda, which is their neighbor. But okay, that's very, that's interesting
It is.
to
It is
say
very
to
much
to see.
so. Yeah.
Hmm.
And something to keep an eye on because it's one thing to be like the West that kind of sees people as in, okay, do you fit into our plan or not? If not,
Yeah.
our country is too full and blah blah. Those are the things that we hear. African countries, in that sense, we should look into it more. I have the idea from a bit of some sources that I've read about that Africa does regard it as something different, basically saying that we have
Okay.
space. Not saying the more people, the better, but the focus is more as what can we do with the people that we have, you know.
Okay.
Um, to produce or to create a better environment also for others, basically. And that brings us kind of back to your question, which I
Hmm.
feel is worth asking throughout the coming week as well. Would you take in a brother or sister in your house, until the person gets back on their feet? Okay.
Yes.
I have thought about the
Yeah.
question. Have you got an answer to this question?
I haven't gotten an answer to this question.
Yeah, I'm going to share mine next week, and it really allowed me to reflect on my life. you know like one reflection that I will share is, me growing up, when I paid a visit to family members, they would always, put their house together and having an extra room for, somebody comes to
Yeah.
live, you know what I
Yeah.
mean, or to rent out or something. Like it was just kind of normal. If you have that luxury, then there's
Yeah.
going to be an
Yeah.
extra bed because you know. But me
Yeah.
growing up as an individual, coming more into the society that we are in now, it's more about extra room. Let's make it a walk-in closet. You know, you know,
Exactly.
extra room.
Yeah,
Let's make it,
exactly.
or
Right.
something like
Oh
that.
man.
And I really sat down to really be to ask myself, okay, if it comes to the now facilitation, can you provide it? And does this really reflect
Hmm.
where your values lie? Because if I look at my values, is to have and to be able to have enough to share with others. You know what
Uh-huh.
I mean? But is the
Yeah,
lifestyle that I'm taking on reflective of that?
that.
If you get what I
That's
mean?
a that's a that's yeah, yeah man, that's a good one. Especially when you said, um, can I facilitate it? So even if I would want to do it, do I have the
Ex-
thing? Because that makes you also realize what you've been running after or what you've been
yeah,
trying to achieve, right? Oh
yeah.
man. Um,
This is going to be an interesting topic for us next week, and it gave me a lot to reflect and think about. And even I caught myself at a place where I'm like, no, I'm not doing this where my value really lies, because my value lies is, you have plenty enough to share to help somebody else, but
mm,
really organizing your life as such in a way where it's, about your walk-in closet and then I have to do the self work. Let me just put it that way.
yeah. And I should point out that it's important not to moralize this issue or this conversation. So it's not a matter of good or bad if you do or can or cannot
Okay.
facilitate or accommodate all your values. It's important to do, otherwise we will become too hard on ourselves, right? You're like,
Yes.
oh, am I a bad person now since I don't have the space or I don't want to accommodate my neighbors? Does that make me evil? No.
Yeah.
We're not going to moralize this issue. It's good to think about them and also, find that realignment with your
Right.
with your values, your norms. But
I like that.
definitely doesn't make you a better
I
person. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like that. More on that next week. The main question of the week
Yes.
remains: if your neighbor gets in trouble unexpectedly, would you facilitate, provide your place to help that person until he or she gets back on their feet? We're gonna talk about it more on Instagram stories. Next on the item is African languages to get more bespoke scientific terms. We have probably read, interesting articles concerning the existence, the continuation, the value of African languages. And
Hmm.
here is one that is actually creating a space for that. Many words common to science have never been written in African language. Now, researchers from across Africa are changing that. Okay, there is no original isiZulu word for dinosaur. Germs are called amaquikwane, but there are no separate words for viruses or bacteria. Donny, why are you laughing?
Yeah, yeah, there are certain words coming up.
You
This
were
is just
saying,
the
right?
beginning.
Or ga or something like that, right?
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
a quark, which is called equaqui, pronounced quaqui, there is no term for red shift. And researchers and science communicators using the language which is spoken by more than 40 million people in southern Africa struggle to agree on words for evolution. isiZulu is one of approximately 2,000 languages spoken in Africa. Modern science has ignored the overwhelming majority of these languages, but now a team of researchers from Africa wants to change that. And I like that. I love that. It's so current, it keeps the language alive. A research project
Yes.
called Colonized Science plans to translate 180 scientific papers from the Africarc C preprint server into 6 languages: isiZulu and Northern Soto from Southern Africa, Hausa and Yoruba from West Africa, and Luganda and Amharic from East Africa. Those languages are collectively spoken by around 98 million people. Earlier this month, Africa Exceed called for submissions from authors, interested in having their papers considered for translation. The deadline is 20th of August. The translated papers will span many disciplines of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. The project is being supported by the Lacunda Fund, a data science funder for researchers in low and middle income countries. It was launched a year ago by philanthropic and government funders from Europe and North America and Google. Of course, Google gets his hands on there. um, there is a whole read about this and it goes very much into detail. But the question is, do we need an upgrade or an update of our languages into science, tech, and all of these things? What do you think?
That is it's a very, very interesting question as well as debate point. Because from what I know, that for instance, let's say in medicine, they use lots of Greek words, I believe, or Latin.
Yeah,
Um,
and I would say yeah, something like that.
and Latin words, and then I think in psychology or philosophy, that's where they use Greek words, since the
Mm,
pioneers were Greeks or from that era. Um, so then it becomes okay. Why haven't they changed those words in or translated them into English and
yeah,
etc. Um, but sometimes, and I feel certain words you keep them in its origin to make it understandable for to make it particular to the item that you're describing. Because when you translate certain things or certain words, somewhere down the line, it receives either a different meaning or a different item or something. A mistranslation can happen and then it loses its value. But especially within science or within research or education, you want to keep a word to its specific meaning. And the best way to do that is to maintain that word that is what's originally given to that dose. It's like paracetamol in every language will probably be paracetamol, I think.
right.
Right? Have you heard of another word for paracetamol? No, that's the name given to that substance of the
Yeah,
chemicals, and that is it's working. When we
yeah,
try to translate paracetamol in chi, we'll probably find something, we'll combine either two or different words together to have that, right? So I think so there is a risk there. And also, however, um, I think it would be good to translate um, these things, or let's say these terms, scientific terms, into in African languages,
right.
also to give Africa its place within science, where they can also understand and also build their own science. Why, if science all in the whole world is only, let's say, English
Yeah,
regulated, then what happens is science will be built upon the English language. So then that would make the English or the Western European much more, it keeps that level um, there where it is. So by translating that into African, it will give, and let's say the African science or level area of science also a base upon which they can also build their own terms. They can also build their own um, um, let's say words for new inventions or for new discoveries, and they can term it the African word. And that you can also, because this whole science is also, there's a whole game there where it's also it has its political meaning, and we shouldn't forget that. For instance, this COVID has proven that Africans, when it comes to research, this and that, we are nowhere, because none of the
right.
data, like we read during our news flash from months ago, Africa only gave like 3% of the global information on COVID. we did not have the facilities, nor do we. And this, so when the vaccine came, it was like, okay, you were the last to get it, and we're even going to donate. You can't even buy it from us, but you're going to donate. You're not one, you can't make it. So there's a whole political science has its political meaning as well. So this translating into African languages will provide them with okay something of their own upon which they should yeah build and that will help them with their let's say political world politics. I think so. Yeah,
Think that's the right word.
think
Yeah, absolutely. And concluding on that as well is that researchers say that global technology companies have historically ignored African languages, but in recent years they have begun funding research in the field. Um,
yeah.
One says that they are aware that many thousands of African languages are currently underrepresented in translation software. A Google spokesperson told Nature
Mm,
the tech giant wants to expand Google Translate to include more African languages, including Tree, Ewe, Bayule, Bambara, Fula, Creole, Luganda. So
mm,
those are quite you know. And however, it needs speakers of those languages to help us improve the quality of the
super.
translation.
Yeah.
So that can be integrated into the service. Well, let's keep an eye on that. I'm sure that within coming from next year and so forth, we will see more of the, let's say, the palette of language or the vocabulary list being updated.
Mm,
The
right.
researchers are
Yes.
concerned that if African languages are not included in online algorithms, they could eventually become obsolete and forgotten. And these are languages that people speak, these are languages they use every day, and they will live with and see the reality that in X number of years, the language might be dead because there is no digital footprint. So yeah, let's keep an eye on that. If you ask me, it's good to work and invest in the digital footprint of of our African languages.
Right.
And some of those languages, our own, are listed there as well. Definitely.
Yes. Yes.
Well,
Yes.
moving
Yes.
on to hot topics. This is one that we really wanted to share last time, actually, which
Yeah.
revolved around the case of, let's say, a music icon. If it relates to Africans and Black people, every African should know this artist. Has
Yeah.
jammed
Actually, I
to
did.
one of his artists before, but yeah, it relates to the R. Kelly case. What's new, Donnie? What's new?
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. So last week last week Friday, yeah, last week Friday was the final day of the trial, which took approximately 4 weeks. And the jury had to bring out a verdict, and they did on the Monday, which was last Monday.
Right.
So let me open that real quick. So yeah, Arkali is found guilty of all counts and of all counts of what what they brought to that case. Already, I did say this in all humbleness. R. Kelly is facing a lot more trials. This was only one case, or is facing a lot more cases. This was the New York case, a huge one, a federal one, but he also has one in Illinois, Chicago, and this and that. But he's found guilty in this one. So this one alone, he faces up to life in prison. Um, the uh, the
Wow.
verdict will come, and I think next year May is when they said the verdict will come. But as of now, he has been found guilty, and so the jury will go back, or let's say the judges, they have to decide on what the sentencing is going to be. How many years is he going to receive? But it's 20 to life. He was found on all counts, which was racketeering, which includes everything from sex trafficking, sexual trafficking, also like fraud when it comes to um, how do you say this? Fraud when it comes to setting up businesses that you're paying. your customers, for instance, but it's your own business. So all those
Yeah.
things were found within this case that they were trying to prosecute, or they were actually prosecute him on. But all in all, it does show that there had been a lot of things happening, and he's a
Yeah.
superstar. He was in the public, but no one had an idea, or let's say from the public, we had no idea this was all ongoing. All right,
Yes.
till and he had been in court before, multiple times as well, right? But every time, I think he got away with it. Yes, the tape. I remember the tape, and even it wasn't the only one. So the tape was a big one. I think that was in 2008 or six. And then, but before that, he has also been in court for also, let's say, a sexual case too. But
Yeah.
what happens is, if it's only that, or let's say one case or one offense, most of the time you can handle it, within a civil lawsuit is, you can pay, or they can settle it, what they call a settlement. So they
Yeah.
settle it, and then you pay some amount of money, and then it disappears, or
Yeah.
it's gone. But then it builds up, and this was like the final one. And remember, last year they had the Netflix series, Surviving R. Kelly. I don't know if you watched it.
I did. I did.
I I didn't watch it because I was like,
Oh.
how are you going to make no, how are you going to make a Netflix series about some guy who is you were saying is doing all these evil and bad things, but he was
Hmm.
still walking free. I
Yeah.
didn't I didn't
Exactly.
understand that. I'm like, if you do it after, like, if he's locked up
After
and then you do,
safety.
s- yeah, that would make so much more sense. So I
Well,
refuse to watch it.
yeah, but in the States, right, the power of media is almost like, um, you're like, it's a tool. It's a tool to bring
Yep.
attention to something and to fight someone or a case on different fronts, you know? Um, the media influence there, I wouldn't say media influence is big everywhere, but and that is why government even limits it whenever they can, but in
Yeah.
the States it's such that, um, if you introduce such a series around something that people make like a debate over, the fact that
Hmm.
he was doing it was something that people
Uh-huh.
still wouldn't believe. You know what I mean? And I
Yeah.
do see media or having a particular series and having, um, influencers and people that have really been able to build some kind of case speak. It allows you to kind of manage the opinion of the public, and sometimes
Hmm.
even create some type of pressure for government to take on a case and work on something, and create some urgency around something, because the context of it is
Okay.
also that they feel that the voices of people that are actually charging R. Kelly have been silenced. You know what I mean? So
Mm.
it's more or less a tool to really increase the urgency of the case and everything around it. And it did follow up on, I think, his eventual arrest and things like that. So
Yeah, that,
it did have a good role, and I totally get your standpoint, because it's like,
okay.
nah, the man on an, what I mean, like,
Yeah.
what is this? So, but I think it's used in that way because of the, yeah, just because of the media influence that they have there. And I
Okay.
mean,
Yeah.
even hearing from the case, right? Like, aside from that, what he's charged for, it's like, how can you be so disgusting? I don't like, seriously, you have to be sick in some kind of way to be doing all of this. And also, not just him being sick and everything, but also understand that what kind of influence that you can enforce once you are a celebrity, once you are up there, the type of facade and lies you can upkeep, the type of influence, having people to just do things for you because for a paycheck, and you know
Yeah.
Because there was even a case, right, in the documentary where he was even, I think it was after the first tape that came out and blah blah, and it kept coming back and he was losing the case. There was even one girl that came and came towards him on the outside of the parking lot of the court of justice, and
Hmm.
interacted with him and then started going out with him. Even then, you know what I mean? While particular cases were building. So still he was able to convince women, that
Yeah.
just don't need it, to be part of his team. And they eventually became the victims. Like, it was like, girl, how can you be so dumb? So it's from both sides. Just his influence and all of
Hmm.
the things that he can create, right? Because influence, you can use it for both bad and good, but also on the
That's
other
true.
hand, how much we're able to believe nonsense when somebody is a celebrity, and especially us women. And I say this, because um, just money, fame, and something could all of a sudden make one man look totally different, you know,
Yeah.
for young girls to be part of his team. So it's yeah, I would say it's I hope he gets help, at the same time, because this is a case where somebody is very disgusting and very talented at the same time, or gifted at the same time.
It's a gift and a curse. All right.
Man,
So,
and him
um,
just being there for lifelong, it's just
so the sentencing is going to be is due in 4th of May, right? So would you say, um, like, what would you find a reasonable sentence? Like, we're not going to play judge. We don't have anything in mind or anything, but would you say life imprisonment is what he deserves, or do you say, because you did
yeah,
say that he needs help,
yeah,
so would you say,
yeah.
give him some 10 years and then, help him? Like, here we have the TBS, um, this what,
The
on
system, yeah,
parole, give him something, yes, so
yeah.
to work on himself. Like,
I
what
would
would you say?
say, I wouldn't say a number of years, because I find it
Hmm.
difficult, because based on what. But I would say that probably the justice system from here would have been to his, better advantage, so that he could get some help.
Hmm.
That's what I could say. I would definitely, I don't know. I would suggest there be a punishment that is more focused on, getting somebody the help he needs to. Normally, the help is to rehabilitate. What's the name for it?
Rehabilitate.
Yeah,
Rehabilitate.
rehabilitate.
Mm.
And get back in the system. But for him to be around women, I don't think it's a good idea anyway. Um,
Yeah.
he also abused a young man, so he probably has some tensions that he can't control. Um,
Mm.
so I would say, to an adapted life or something like that, and whether that be
Uh,
what's it called, in house or whatever. I don't know. I find it hard, Tony. That is
me
a
too.
question.
It is a hard question. It's a very sad one too. Yet nevertheless, I have more pity for him than, let's say, angry or any other emotion. But
Yeah.
I would say, every man. I was about to say every man deserves a second chance at life, and then I realized this guy has had more than
He has
a
more than
second
second chance.
chance. Yeah.
More,
So
especially when for some of the cases he could still fight them and still produce some kind of evidence. At that stage he should have had help to just stop. But him continuing and creating some kind of thing, and it's really disgusting.
yeah,
And I
and
think that this should also help us to understand the reality of, the behind closed doors, life of the people that we admire sometimes. There is
exactly.
a projected lifestyle and there is a true lifestyle about a lot of
Right.
people that are, especially in the entertainment field. Because now, one interesting I read was that Before, years ago, somebody mentioned this, that years ago, children's role models, if we look in the 40s, 50s, it was more their own parents or presidents or something like that. Those
Mm.
were role models. But now, our general role models
Celebrities.
are happily represented by people in entertainment, while
Yeah.
not even everybody is in entertainment scene. You know what I mean? So
Yeah. Yeah.
um, this also has to make us cautious and help us understand that there is a lot more than what we see. You know what I mean? And also it has helped me, for instance, with me also being an artist, to be less starstruck.
Hmm.
You get what I mean? Um,
Yeah.
really, because it's like, okay, so you admire the person because of their accomplishments and gifts and things like that. But if you go ahead and associate yourself with the wrong ones, they
Mhm.
based on their personal affairs, it's just going to ruin you. So um,
All right.
yeah,
Yeah.
let's keep an eye on that and see how it goes. But yeah, I would love, and that's one of the objectives of the show, to create some type of role modeling that's more balanced and not just people in entertainment, or kind of people that we have no idea of who they truly are or anything, and just do some twisted type of thing. That's really
Hmm.
really what it's about. All right. Well, next on the list is TikTok star Kabi Lame. Crosses 100 million followers despite barely saying a word. A Senegalese content creator, Senegalese Italian based, started posting in March last year after losing his job during coronavirus imposed lockdowns. And that was a serious thing in Italy. He is known for his hilarious facial expressions. He has become only the second person to cross 100 million followers on a social media platform. 21, and whose real name is Kabane Lame, started his TikTok account at kabi.lame in March last year. And, his deadpan reaction to videos and comedic expressions without any spoken word earned him a global following, quickly amassing more than 50,000 followers. Did you know him before, Donny?
Yes. Yes. I know. Kirby.
The first,
Brilliant. Brilliant scripts.
yeah, one specific video that I just love. That is, I think, the one with somebody readjusting their window review mirror, something of the car, and
Uh
she just
huh.
like stuck some type of add-on the car just before she would step out, and he
Oh
just
yeah.
that one. I don't know the interval of his face and expression. That was just funny. I reposted that one.
It
Man,
was like you can just roll down the glass, stick your head out to see if someone is coming, and then you step out.
exactly, exactly. And it
Yeah,
it
I've seen
answers
that
so
one.
much, right?
Yeah, this is an interesting way to put it. We all know Mr. Bean,
Yeah.
and
He
what's
he
Mr. Bean also,
recognized Mr. Bean. Yeah.
and I think
What is it
many
all
people
about?
have had I've made this observation, but I haven't seen it yet though. And I was just thinking about it, like why is it so gravitating to like everybody? And what does this? So I was thinking, and then I was watching a Mr. Bean video. I came across on social media. I was like, wait, hold on. Oh, and then that's where I draw the similarities. I said, wait, Kirby is actually Mr. Bean, but then like the black version, and also just shorter. And Kirby, where Kirby has one,
And the
um,
smart version, because he actually simplifies. Mr. Bean complicates.
yeah, yeah, but Mr. Bean is the master of just facial expressions and whole
Right.
comedy movie with just
Yeah.
2 words. I'm Mr. Bean.
Yeah.
That's it. Whereas Cabby just has those short videos that don't make things complicated. They're just very simple. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I was like, that's why it's so gravitating. It's just every culture, everyone who watches it, and the facial expression, the physical, it just makes sense, and that's it. It just makes sense.
It does.
And for those who want to go further back, because I mean, Mr. Bean was popular in the 90s and 2000, but
Yeah.
Charlie Chaplin, which is from the 70s, I believe, or
All
pre
right.
Mr. Bean, was that guy. So, that's just a little extra for those who want to get deeper into stuff. But yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, Kavi, man, he's the man. It's like number two
That,
on TikTok.
yeah.
Shout out to him. Shout out to him.
Shout out
And
to
he's
Kabi.
been having collaborations with some football stars as well as
Crazy
I
endorsements.
yeah, endorsements too. Yo, I am not trying to wonder what his bag or his amount of money that he's receiving from things is looking like, but you know that the number one or the top five of TikTok last year, they were earning up to 6 million US
Wow.
dollars. So yeah, and since he's number two, I think this year already he's made a couple of millions. Yeah,
Right.
trust me. So there is money in in TikTok.
There
For
is
those
money
who
in
are
TikTok.
thinking, yeah,
Absolutely. And
yeah, yeah, it's
he's actually blessed he's actually blessed to have it, going for him. One thing I love also
yeah,
is that his family moved to Italy when he was only 1 year old. And he's also the first person from Europe to hit the 100 million milestone. And he's African. So, I always will also want to emphasize that
he's African. Yep.
yes, yes. And simplifying everybody's life. Shout out to Kabi.
Yeah.
All right. Last on the list is actually one that we had loved to share, which is also quite of a Black excellence moment, right? The first Black woman to receive an Emmy Award, not just an Emmy Award, but specifically being outstanding for writing for a limited anthology series or movie, is British Ghanaian, Michaela Cole, 33, and actually doing it. She got this prize for let's say, a 12 episode series inspired by her experience of being a survivor of sexual assault. And as she was pitching what would become her award winning show back in 2017, she originally turned down a 1 million deal to make the show with Netflix, according to a July 2020 profile with Vulture. I guess that's how it goes, right, Donny? Because we talked about how Netflix keeps themselves special is by introducing specials and actually having film creators pitching the idea to them, and them
Yeah.
directly funding it and so forth and so forth. Um, at the time, she already had a relationship with Netflix. Netflix, the streamer introduced her first big project, Chewing Gum, to the US, and she later appeared in an Emmy-winning episode of Black Mirror. But despite the enticing 1 million deal, Cole turned down the offer when she was denied the ability to retain any percentage of the copyright to her work, which is also quite, difficult. It's quite of difficult decision because the major deals that we see out there that make it possible for people's films and music and everything to be there doesn't always involve the artist having a share. And that is hard. It is so hard because what makes it possible for us to view a Netflix series is very costly. One
Mm-hmm.
producer cannot put down the money on their own, you know. So you have to like consider, okay, what do I want? Do I want my name to be out there, but I don't get any percentage if it's, goes bigger, or
Yeah.
do I, stay true to what I'm doing? And it's quite hard. So, according to Vulture, during one phone call with a high level Netflix executive, Cole tried to negotiate to retain 5% of her rights, which got cut down to 2%, then 1%, and ultimately 0.5. Before the executive ended the call to run the numbers up the chain, she told Cole, Michaela, I just want you to know I'm really proud of you. You're doing the right thing. It was a clarifying moment for Cole, she told Vulture. I remember thinking I've been going down rabbit holes in my head, like people thinking I'm paranoid, I'm acting sketchy, I'm killing off all my agents. Then she said those words, and I finally realized I'm not crazy. This is crazy. So she
Mm.
ultimately fired her US agency when she learned they were pushing her toward the deal and would earn an undisclosed amount from the partnership. By fall 2017, she pitched I May Destroy You to a producer with the BBC. She received an email the next day saying she would have everything she negotiated for: a seat at the table on production, full creative
Wow.
control, and the rights to the work. Doesn't that sound interesting? What do you think? What do you think of this? This is quite of a strategic decision. What do you think you have done if you have like a really good look at yourself?
Oh, definitely would. It's a tight, a very tough spot to be put in. Um, but and it's let me say this. It's like, because I remember a similar thing happened to, let's say, Dave Chappelle, right? The famous comedian, and the famous story of Dave Chappelle where he left 50 million.
Yeah,
He ran away from 50 million, and left the Chappelle show and went to Africa. Um,
yeah,
but I when he came back, he did explain that, hey, they were giving me a deal, and as well as I had to give up certain things. Right. One was also the creative control of the show. So he felt like, that wasn't worth the price of the 50 million. So that's why he left the deal. And now he's back. He got more from Netflix, 60 million to do three stand-ups, or four stand-ups. So it is rewarding. However, the journey is very hard. Like, this lady, she also left the deal, which actually I think most people would have taken the deal. You know what? That's fine. It's one of my beginning starting projects, so it's okay. You can have it. However, when you persevere, you will definitely take it. I think with myself, knowing the type of person I am,
yeah,
um, I would also have left. I would have, yeah, I would have declined the deal where
yeah.
I do have to give in. But
Because
I don't know.
no percentage in
Yeah.
what this is like. This is the kind of selling your soul, right? That people talk.
Yeah, but you would receive a lot of money though, like upfront.
The selling your soul.
Oh, it's hard.
Yeah,
And
it is. It is. I think
and
it's
it's
then all. Yeah.
and also what makes it sorry, this last bit. Also I think what makes it even more hard is those around you, the people you trust, your agents, your advisors. They are the ones who will even cultivate you to taking such a deal, because they will be talking in your mind like, this is really a good, this is a really good deal, and one of this and that. But it's, yeah. But you were saying something else.
Yeah, I think that that goes for every person, right? Whether you be in arts, entertainment, or anything, is that you have to like constantly sit down and ask, who am I? You know,
Yeah,
am I this person that is creating or working to, build my certain life, um, so that I can have control, or am
yeah,
I doing this so that I can just have money, and have
yeah,
no type of control at all? I think it is good to, assess yourself in that area, many times, or else you will probably be introduced to contracts that don't align with who you are, or where you want to
yeah,
go, or what you should even be doing. There is the scripture that says, like, there are many things that may sound right to a man, but God's plans establishes something like that. There is this scripture around,
mm,
all right, and it kind of makes me think about that like there are many things that might seem nice, but
mm-hmm,
an actual good grounded assessment of who am I and is this thing connecting,
mm-hmm,
is
mm-hmm.
really worth it. And I think that is really what she did in this case,
You did,
was
yeah,
really
yeah.
listen to that, and not just the voice or intuition, but really making sense of it. Like, does this really align with who I am as a creator, as a person? And and is this money even going to offer me that which I want to go to?
Yeah. But and how about the Emmy? Would you? So she declined the Emmy. She rejected the Emmy. Oh, wait.
No, no, she received. I mean, she actually, gave a nice speech. One part that I really love is that in a world that entices us to browse through the lives of others to help us better determine how we feel about ourselves, and to in turn feel the need to be constantly visible. For visibility these days seems to somehow equate to success. Do not be afraid to disappear from us for a while, and see what comes to you in the silence. I like that.
Mm. That's a beautiful
I like
piece. Nice.
So she definitely received that Emmy. Congrats to her. I mean, a
Yeah,
Ghanaian beauty, representing and building all of that success is worth celebrating. So shout out to her. Definitely, yes.
shout out to you.
All right.
Nice.
Well, this is really a good conversation. I guess it's safe to say that, if we really want to conduct it through a true news flash, we would have to do it 1 hour and 45 minutes with just one song. that's that's pretty much what we can conclude by.
Yeah.
I guess it's safe to say that a lot of things that go on in our world that impresses us, that touches us, and really comes to one thing, right? That we should um, really continue to learn more about what goes on in our world, and
Yes.
um, really be open to the fact that we never stop learning at all, even
That's
when we're
most
80.
definitely. Most definitely. Even when we're 80.
Even when we're 80, something like that, and we make it to that age. Do you have any plans this week?
This week, oh, back to dancing.
Back to dancing, man, man. Right. What was it? Kizumba, right?
Kizumba.
Kizumba,
Yeah.
Kizumba. That's good stuff. Yeah, that's fun. I am
How
also
about yourself?
devoted my mornings to Afro workout, Afro fitness, to be dance, and it's
Yes.
really making me happy. So
Oh, nice.
why are you
Nice.
laughing like
Amazing. No, I mean, that's so cool. That's so cool. I've watched one of those ladies on YouTube who will also give this Afro dance workouts, and I was watching it, and it looked lovely. A friend of mine sent it to me. She was like, "Yeah, yeah, I'm also doing this." Like, okay,
that?
what does it look like? She's like, "I'll send you a clip." So I watched it. I'm like, "Okay, this is cool." Not only is it teaching them how to dance on, or giving them rhythm and this and that, but it's actually giving them a good workout. So
Yeah,
man,
it
that's
does.
amazing. That's cool.
It
That's
does.
cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I am Team Afri Fitness this week, and also following
Nice.
doing an actual interesting event at the Bali this coming week, which is Friday, which
Okay.
is Afro Vibes with Zam. I'm hosting in the Bali, co-hosting an event that really focuses on artists from Uganda, Nigeria, and Angola, and I think Mozambique. And we're
Hmm.
going to dive into their thinking and their perception around decolonizing Africa and their art and the art form. So it's called How We Made
Oh,
It.
wow.
If people in Amsterdam would love to join, you can join it virtually, I think, and also come to the Bali. So look out for that in
The Bali.
Amsterdam, and then we will call it a week. Yes. So
Nice. All right.
next week we'll be returning, and hopefully, I say we will be returning in the studio, and we
Hmm.
will be talking some more. We'll also be continuing our conversation regarding some very helpful and good skills that we should definitely have within the coming
Yeah.
5 years in job finding. So next week we're actually going to have somebody who is in coding and who is also a tech slash finance guy, and he's going to share with us a bit more on the importance of having the skill set, the job market, and navigating and growing in this. And also talk about his organization that focuses on teaching coding for girls in Ghana. So that is going to
Nice.
be very
Amazing.
interesting. Well, we've come close to Africa on Focus. We are wrapping it up, which is sort of in a lockdown setting. Again, Africa on Focus is made possible by Austin, which is all about elevating your brand. You're watching us here on High Radio, which is the voice of the next generation, Amsterdam's most dynamic satellite radio station. And we show up every Sunday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. to talk about what's going on in our world You can find Africa on Focus on all social media platforms. Do follow us on there. Um, Also, make sure that you follow me at MS.ABA. In the meantime, we're still convincing Donny to put his Instagram page on public, but we are definitely working on that. We're rounding up with let's just say our closing song. I always push this song in the studio when we're closing up because it's that inspirational, and it adds blessing and a blessing kind of vibe to all that we
Yes.
do. Which is by Nolly collaborating with Marizu with Blessed of God. Stay blessed, and we will definitely be meeting you next week.
I am the one who God is blessed. The one who God is blessed. I am the one who God is blessed. I'm the blessed of God. I am the one who God is blessed. The one who God is blessed. I am the one who God is blessed. I'm the blessed of God. I am the one who God is blessed. The one who God is blessed. I am the one who God is blessed. Oh, no, blessed of God. I am the one who God is blessed. Oh, nah, nah. I am the one, yes. I am the one, oh, yes. I will tell it everywhere I go. I will tell it everywhere I go. I'm telling everyone I know, that Jesus is love. I will tell it everywhere I go. I'll tell it. I will tell it everywhere I go. You know what it is, right? Everyone I know. It's gnarly. This is a story of a child who was blessed of God. Young boy from Africa winning the world for God. Like this on your channel, these boys so trying to channel rap and who get this egg and they win the soul. Pure bliss. So we found one another was the thing. Put I need out and yes, yeah, Jesus, my soul. Honestly, when I see people singing my songs and praising the Lord, I feel blessed though. It's an honor to be used as a vessel. They told me, Nolly, you lucky you came up too fast though. I tell them that a blessed man is a blessed man. Yeah, I don't believe in luck. I believe in blessings. I am the one who God is blessed. The one who God is blessed. I am the one who God is blessed. I'm the blessed of God. I am the one who God is blessed. The one who God is blessed. I am the one who God is blessed. I'm the blessed of God. I am the one who God is blessed. The one who God is blessed. I am the one who God is blessed. Oh, no, blessed of God. I am the one who God is blessed. Oh, nah, nah. I am the one, yes. I am the one, oh, yes. I will tell it everywhere I go. I will tell it everywhere I go. I'm telling everyone I know that Jesus is love. I will tell it everywhere I go.